The Sole Reason by Roy Tuck. First scene screenplay. Fade in. Exterior, New York, New Jersey skyline, day. Glorious aerial view of Manhattan. We move over Midtown, then across the Hudson River to New Jersey. We begin to see Route 3 and the Meadowlands. There's something off about the way we're viewing the landscape. It's as if we're seeing everything from inside a liquidity soap bubble. We hear a droning sound in a pitch that seems to mimic our movement. To this point, we've been moving in a straight line. Suddenly, we make a sharp right and head directly towards the Prudential Center Arena and pick up speed. The sound of the pitch rises. Super title card, the Meadowlands, New Jersey. We drop in altitude and move even faster as we approach the massive parking lot filled to capacity with vehicles of all types. We drop again, first passing merely feet above, then actually in between the rows of cars. Once again, the pitch matches the move. We rise again and head straight for the Prudential sign. The droning sound we've been hearing is gradually overpowered by the sound of a cheering crowd. Just before it appears that we are about to hit the building, the scene abruptly goes black. Fade up. Interior, Prudential Center Arena, day. Super title card. Game 3, Stanley Cup Finals. We float over a hockey game in progress. The crowd is going wild. We can now clearly hear the players' skates carving and shaving ice, the converging of hockey sticks and the puck being slapped. The scoreboard and time clock indicate that it's the final minutes of regulation time in a game between the New Jersey Devils and the Boston Bruins. The score is tied 2-2. Interior arena, Devils box, day. The Devils coach paces and barks instructions to the players on the ice, while players currently off the ice strain to get back on. Not one of them notice the figure in a long black hooded tunic wearing a backpack. The figure slides in and takes a seat on the bench in between two players. They also fail to notice the gleaming farmer's scythe it holds in one hand and a large styrofoam cup of beer in the other. Ironically, or maybe purposefully, the figure holds the scythe in the same vertical position that the players hold their hockey sticks. The electronic time clock is now counting down from 30 seconds. Interior hockey rink, day. As regulation time begins to run out, the players are feeling the pressure. The intensity ratchets up. Both teams are desperate to break the tie. Suddenly, Devils Czechoslovakian star forward Bronislav Dubek comes out of nowhere, slides in between the two Bruins and steals the puck. Turning on a dime, he races back towards the Bruins goalie, who readies himself. Interior arena bleachers, day. The crowd jumps to its collective feet, sensing something exciting is about to happen. A Devils win, or maybe overtime. Either way, they're about to get their money's worth. We see a crazed Devils fan in the upper bleachers accidentally spill his beer over the head of a guy sitting in the row directly below him. The recipient of the brew bath is too drunk to notice or care. Interior hockey rink, day. Dubek is now one-on-one with the Bruins goalie. He draws back his stick and is about to shoot when two Bruins, Swanson and Houlihan, simultaneously converge on him from both sides. There's a violent collision of bodies and sticks. Dubek is checked headfirst into the boards. He lets out a loud, involuntary grunt, loud enough to be heard over the wobbling glass partition. Dubek slumps to the ice like a rag doll, his motionless body splayed in an unnatural position. We see a woman in a Devil jersey on the other side of the glass recoil as Dubek's blood splatters the glass. Instinctively, she covers the eyes of the young boy sitting next to her. The entire arena gasps and goes silent. Interior Devil's box, day. While his teammates watch in horror, the hooded figure casually takes the last sip of his beer and lets out a loud, ghostly belch that echoes throughout the silent arena. It stands, exits the player's box, and disappears from the frame. Interior arena, multiple views, day. Everyone in the arena literally freezes in place as if time has stood still. In fact, it actually has. Coaches mid-coaching, players and referees on the ice, people at the concession stand, security guards, even the Zamboni driver. The clock is stopped at 1 second. Interior hockey rink, day. The figure appears on the ice rink and steps between the two frozen Bruins defensemen to get to Dubek, who's lying face up in a pool of blood. It then leans its scythe against the boards and slides out of its backpack and setting it down on the ice next to Dubek. It lifts a flap over the top of the pack, revealing two twin metal cylinders resembling scuba tanks, and unscrews the cap on one of the tanks. From a side pocket, it takes out a small, clear plastic Ziploc baggie and puts its hand in the way one would if they were picking up dog crap. Then it plunges the bagged hand deep into Dubec's chest cavity. It's a magically bloodless incision. It feels around inside for a moment until it finds what it's looking for, then quickly pulls its hand back out, causing a sucking sound. Dubec's body shows no sign of entry. Inside the baggie, we see a neon green, undulating glob. The figure seals the glob inside the baggie, drops it into the open cylinder, and screws the top back on. Having completed the procedure, the figure stands and slips the pack back on and turns to leave. Instead, it stops and turns back around, revolving the scythe until the blade is on the bottom. It slap shots the puck across the ice and into the net and raises its fist in the air.
Yes!
As the figure vanishes, the entire scene unfreezes just as the medical staff converges on Dubec's lifeless body. Fade out. Fade in. Exterior, New Jersey, Route 287, day. Super, Route 287, somewhere near Montvale, New Jersey. 4 large deer are busy feeding on leaves in a wooded area adjacent to Route 287. They are oblivious to the passing cars or the same hooded figure sitting on a nearby log. Suddenly, the small herd decide to dart across 4 lanes and into rush hour traffic. At that precise moment, Marcianne Kowalski is heading east in her canary yellow mini convertible while checking her email. 3 of the 4 deer make it safely across the westbound lanes to the other side. The 4th, a full-grown buck with massive antlers, winds up sharing the front seat with Marcianne. The Mini swerves off the road into a tree and bursts into flames. Marcianne is thrown free of the vehicle, landing at the feet of the figure. As before, it casually and deliberately removes its pack and unpacks its gear. Behind them, we see a twitching hind leg protruding from the windshield of the flaming Mini. Fade out. Fade in. Interior, New Jersey, Rockaway Town Square Mall, day. 2 elderly twin mall walkers, Gladys and Francis Cariglio, are on their second lap around the mezzanine. They're pumping faster than they're walking. They're dressed in matching red sweatsuits and clean white walking shoes. As they pass Victoria's Secret, Gladys becomes fixated on a rotund woman exiting the store with several shopping bags. The woman bears 0 resemblance to the sexy mannequin in the window. Gladys is about to share a snarky observation with Frances as they power by and isn't watching where she's going. She tumbles headfirst through the out-of-service barrier and down the entire length of an escalator, screaming as she hits each steel step. At the foot of the escalator, a mother sits with 2 children on the edge of a fountain, the kind in which children love to chuck pennies. Her 5-year-old has his hand in the dirty fountain, happily retrieving coins. His younger sibling sits in a stroller next to the mother, eating an ice cream cone that's been dripping down the toddler's arm. The mother doesn't notice the figure sitting on the ledge next to her, watching Gladys descend. A blur of red sweatsuit material tumbles out of the escalator, striking her head on the corner of the marble fountain. Shoppers in the immediate area gasp. Frances, who is peering down from the upper level, screams and faints. Again, time and motion freeze. The figure reaches over and with a finger swipes a single drip of vanilla ice cream that is suspended in mid-fall, then sticks its finger deep into its hood. We hear the sound of a finger being sucked. The figure then stands over Gladys and goes to work. Fade out. Fade in. Interior. Video playing on a TV monitor. Day. An elderly man dressed in a white hooded tunic, think Donald Sutherland, sits behind an expansive white desk with his hands folded. His pale complexion might be indistinguishable from his white tunic if not for the dramatic downlighting. The desk is clear of everything with the exception of a laptop and an ornate gold clock. Behind him, we see a bookcase filled with very old, perhaps ancient books. The man obviously holds some important position. A large gleaming medallion on a gold chain hangs around his neck. He looks directly into the camera and begins to give a presentation.
Welcome to the Department of Soul Retrieval and Recycling. We here at the DSR&R are immensely proud of the critically important service we've been providing to humankind from day one.
Super title card, the Department of Soul Retrieval and Recycling.
In the beginning, the Board of Creation, architects of the universe, voted to conduct an experiment. They identified a planet suitable to host a new kind of life form. The planet, called Earth, was seeded, and over several million Earth years, the species evolved into what has become a relatively intelligent species.
Cut to animation. A simple microscopic creature morphs through various stages of development until it stands upright.
The container, or body, of every human has an expiration code. a timer that begins when it first exits the parent entity called at birth, and ends when the container ceases to function. The end of the function is called death. The precise amount of time the container is programmed to function is called a lifespan.
Animation continues. We see the human figure age, die, and disintegrate.
Now, deep within the core of each container is a nearly undetectable organ called the soul. Unlike other human organs, such as the heart or kidneys, that control biological functions, the soul governs the human essence, its moral compass.
Animation continues. We move into the chest cavity of the male figure until we see a glowing, undulating glob. An arrow pops on and points to the glob, along with a call-out, the soul.
Now, what makes the soul unique is that it is, all for intent and purposes, immortal. In other words, after the human container wears out or dies, the soul can be removed, cleansed of all prior history and experiences, and implanted in a new, fresh human.
Animation continues. We see the soul moving out of a body, then travel through something resembling a car wash that agitates. We see it be inserted into a fetus within a womb. Animation ends. Super title card, Human Lifespan, Its Ramifications.
From the beginning, there needed to be a process for handling the recycling of souls. That's when the board created our kind and designated us as caretakers. Earth's population was small then, therefore it was relatively easy for a single field worker to manage the process.
Inset portrait of an ancient reaper appears in the upper right corner of the screen.
It was a crude system 1,000 years ago, but sufficient. But as it turned out, over time, the human population exploded. A single worker became overworked and overburdened.
Video cuts to a succession of full-screen images depicting early man in caves, then small villages, towns, and then cities.
In response, the board increased the number of workers substantially. Additionally, it was felt that it would be more efficient to retrain a portion of the workforce to learn to perform the 3 different stages of the overall process. The first, the soul retrievers. They are to be present at the time of death to carefully remove the soul and transport it back to the lab to be processed. Second, the scrubbers. They are the lab technicians who cleanse and sanitize each soul. Third, the givers. They implant the refurbished souls into new humans. That's when we, the Department of Soul Retrieval and Recycling, DSR&R, was formed to oversee the entire operation.
Video, a full-frame beauty shot of the headquarters building appears. The company name and logo dramatically add on.
Thank you for listening and for your service. Good day, and board bless the DSR&R.
Fade out. Interior, DSR&R reception area, day. Pull out of the screen to reveal that the black and white video has been playing on a TV in the corner of a busy office reception area. The live scene continues in black and white. Men and women in various shades of gray tunics wander in and out like bees in a hive. Others sit reading magazines, working on laptops, speaking on mobile phones, or otherwise engaged in business conversation. Next to the entrance, scythes are stored in a rack like skis at a ski lodge. Young woman sits at the reception desk. The hood on her tunic is down, revealing a pretty face. She speaks into a hands-free device headset while typing. Behind her, on a wide expanse of white wall, in large uppercase letters, is a sign that reads, The Department of Soul Retrieval and Recycling. Beneath it, the DSR&R logo. A circle with a graphic representation of a human figure split into 2 halves. One half black and the other white. Not to symbolize race, but the 2 stages of human existence, life and death. Next to each are arrows pointing in opposite directions. Surrounding the circle in a continuous loop is the slogan, Retrieve, Recycle, Replace. Embedded in another wall are a dozen monitors, each broadcasting deaths in progress from every corner of the globe. At the bottom of each screen is a CNN-like scroll counting the location along with a death counter that spins wildly as deaths add up. The hooded figure from the hockey arena and the other locations enters through the automatic glass doors. It places its scythe in the rack, lowers its hood, and approaches the receptionist. This is the first time we get to meet Jim. Full name, Jim, 92010. Jim gives the appearance of a man in his early 40s. He has the same pale skin as everyone else. He has long, straight black, shoulder-length hair. Jim's tall and a bit lanky, not quite handsome, but pleasantly good-looking. Bill Hader for type. He clears his throat and taps on the reception desk to get her attention. She finishes a personal call and pops a bubblegum bubble and has to peel a humongous bubble off her face and looks up at Jim.
So, Jimbo, how'd your shift go?
Since you ask, I had an 80-year-old woman do a half-gainer down an escalator, a young woman in a convertible with a full-grown buck in the front seat take out a tree on the interstate, a lady who failed to talk to her doctor before trying a new drug for irritable bowel syndrome. Well, that wasn't pretty. A stroke, 2 naturals, and, a mangled Czechoslovakian hockey player, or as I like to call him, my bounced check.
Wah, wah, wah.
FYI, I'm just staying long enough to make a deposit and pick up my call sheet for tomorrow. Open school night tonight.
Aw, what a good daddy.
Just then, 2 young employees pass by, both texting. One acknowledges Jim with a dude greeting. Jim doesn't dude back, instead takes a handful of mints from a dish on the reception desk, tosses one in the air and catches it in his mouth, then exit through the interior doors.
A-holes.